I'm Jooya from Jooya Teaching Resources. I've been in the classroom since 2001 and my whole teaching career has been in schools that have a high percentage of students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. And then all the problems that are associated with this. Poor literacy, poor engagement, irregular attendance, and a lot of students in out-of-home care. I say this because whatever problems you are facing, I've probably been there and done that. This video is designed for the busy teacher. It is meant to be quick, full of helpful information with useful strategies that you can do in your classroom the very next lesson. All the tips I've tried in my own classroom with my students and they work. Don't forget to visit my store on Teachers Pay Teachers or check out my blog, juliajooya.com. You can even connect with me on Facebook or even follow me on Pinterest.
Hi and welcome to the 10-minute teaching tips. I'm Jooya from Jooya Teaching Resources and this lesson is all about engaging students in their learning. So engaging students in their learning, how can we do this? And I'm not telling you anything new here, this is something I'm sure you already know, but we need to teach them the way they learn. We also need to teach topics that are relevant to them. We need to make the learning interesting. We need to mix things up. And we also need to ask them, how do they learn? But what are the benefits? The benefits will be, everyone learns. Okay, both the teacher and the student. You'll have less behaviour problems. You'll have higher engagement. You'll also have better assessments / submission rates for your assessments. You'll eventually get improved results if you're teaching the way they learn. And you'll have happier students, and happier students equals a happier teacher. So for this lesson, to ask your students how they learn best, you will need sticky notes, a big piece of paper, some pens or pencils, a whiteboard or somewhere to display a question. It's as simple as that. So here's the process, and this is what worked well for me, and I did this with about 3 different classes. I did this with a Year 9 class, a Year 10 class, and a Year 12 class. So, first off, hand out your sticky notes or small pieces of paper to each student. They don't need many, probably only about 10 to 12, and even then they probably don't need that many sticky notes. Ask your students to recall a lesson that helped them learn the content and have a brief discussion about why they remember that lesson. And they've all been at school for a long time, so tell them it doesn't have to be from high school, it could be from when they were in primary school, or kindy, or outside of school, doesn't matter, just any sort of lesson where they were learning something. Then ask your students about the different ways that they like to learn, and again have a brief discussion about that. It's just to get some ideas and things flowing for them, so they're not going, I don't know what to write, miss. Anyway, then please write down the question, how do I learn best, which is what I used. Or you might want to use the question, what strategies help me to learn best in music, in maths, in science, whatever it happens to be. Then ask your students to write a different way that they learn best onto a sticky note, and they need to use a new sticky note for each new way they learn best. Give your students about some time to complete this. My older students only needed about 5 minutes. The younger grades needed a few more minutes. And because I am a music teacher, I like to put some music on in the background. So I just found something on the background music and let it go. And I said to them, once that music's finished, then we will continue the lesson. Once they've done that, you need to ask your students to come put their sticky notes onto the large piece of paper. So it does make it easier for you and for the next part of the lesson if you try and group the ideas that they are bringing to the paper together, so that it's easier to see what's the themes coming through. And then have a discussion about what ideas were that the kids actually brought to the paper. What ideas did they come up with? And the reason I did this, because some of them, there were some ideas that maybe only one or two kids actually wrote something down about, but when I actually read it out, they were like, other students were like, yes, 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 I really like that too, I really like that too, I wished I'd written that down. And again, it's just a way of triggering some memories for them, and some ideas for them, so that they can actually have some other things on ideas can come into the next part of the discussion. So this is the most important part, this next part, is you need to then ask your students, how does this learning idea or strategy, what does it actually look like in our class? What will it actually look like? So for my music class, we have, I need my grade 12s to complete a listening exam, and I need them to actually complete, get ready for some elective pieces to perform, or have these other things called viva voces ready for. So we had to then think about, well, what's this going to look like in our classroom? And again, we had a very long discussion about this, probably 20 to 30 minutes. And it was really interesting what they came up with. And again, wasn't anything brand new. We've all seen these ideas before. But coming from them, they were so excited about it. So some of the strategies and lesson ideas that they said helped them learn were practice exam questions, practical and hands-on lessons, small group discussions, and they were talking about in pairs and in small groups of up to maybe 4 students, writing notes. They said they liked to write notes. I was like, okay. They also liked thorough explanations. They wanted to repeat concepts and skills in different ways. They wanted some demonstrations from other students as well as the teacher. They wanted critical feedback, again, from their peers as well as the teacher. And they wanted to actually teach others. And they meant not only other people in their classroom, but they were actually talking in younger grades. So some of their future lesson ideas were movement lessons for theory. They wanted to have past exam samples, quick answers from other students, and they wanted to have a chance to justify why that particular answer was good or bad or somewhere in the middle. They also wanted to be able to teach other class members their skill. They wanted to teach other classes how to do something, and they wanted different types of feedback. They wanted oral feedback, written, from their peers and from other staff. So they actually wanted to invite other staff into the classroom to actually listen to their performances and get feedback from them as well. They also wanted games to learn the content, the theory content, which I thought was interesting, and they wanted competitions to learn to complete tasks. They also wanted to use stations and rotations through different activities in theory lessons, and that was a very interesting discussion about how that would look in our classroom. They wanted small group work for theory as well as practical. And then they also said they wanted regular practice tests. And I said, well, when we have those regular practice tests, please don't whinge at me that we are doing them because you said you wanted them. And they said, no, we promise. And I'm thinking, yes, I'm sure that, I'm not sure how long that's going to last. Anyway, the thing was, I have done this with my class, this particular class. We've only just started the year here in Australia. This is only our second week, just at the end of our second week of lessons. And I can guarantee you, I put some of these things into practice and they loved it. They loved the lesson and they were so thankful. And they said, Miss, thank you so much for listening to us. I feel like I learned something today. And as a teacher, that was like, yes, I've done my job today. I loved, what I was doing today. It was awesome because it came from them. And they felt, I suppose, acknowledged for their years of time and experience in the classroom. And they just loved the fact that I was more than willing to have to listen to them and put these things into place. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Jooya from Jooya Teaching Resources. This was a 10-minute teaching tips about engaging students in their learning. Until next time, happy teaching.